Okay, so on to some of the more morbid items in the museum. This is a Victorian toe pincher coffin that was either a display coffin, possibly an Oddfellows ritual coffin, or both. And inside this coffin is its resident human skeleton. And behind this, there are prints of a hand and foot that I have in the collection. We used human blood and made the prints. Okay, and here's a case of different skulls, mostly tribal exotic skulls from all over the world. And I'll open this up and kind of show you some of these. There's a fetal skull. Different skulls. There's a face of a skull in the back there. This is a African fortune tellers, witches. I think it's in the top of a skull. And I guess all these shells and such are used to tell the future or tell somebody's fortune. A ritual skull. This is a real human skull. The idea behind it is there's eyes stuffed in the, quartz stuffed in the eyes and the mouth of the skull, and all around it. It's supposed to open up a doorway to connect the dimension of the living and the dimension of the dead. A hip bone by Zane Wiley with Edgar Allan Poe carved into the hip bone, human. Also a half a skull with a Victorian wreath. Great display, wonderful frame. A headhunter skull. I'm not going to pull it out, but the way you can tell these carved headhunter skulls are authentic is the base where the spine goes into the base of the skull. You can tell where they scrape the brains out. Skull cap. I have a lot of Dayak skulls and different tribal skulls. There's a bone, and these are earrings or earplugs made out of a real human skull. A skull bowl. Here's a skull from Papua New Guinea that was decorated. The skull is inside here, and all of this was built around it. Another skull back here. A French elongated skull, the way that the more than likely came out of the catacombs, but who knows. But you can see that it's elongated by the way that the French at that time would bind the heads of their babies. Particular interesting piece. This is a Solomon Island ancestry skull, where when a female of the tribe would die, they would strap all of the individual's jewelry to the skull as a memorial. And this was used in magic rituals. This is a Terry Bar shrunken head. This is a reproduction, but a very damn good one. Down here are various different human skulls. All real, of course. And then down here are different bones, a mummified leg, a partial skull hiding in the back there. Here is a very, very nice specimen that comes in this amazing case. It's from a doctor's collection. There's a male skull in very good condition. Has all of his teeth. And also here is a hip and a foot in a reported or alleged cursed leg brace. And moving on over here is the Lucille Ball skull in the Lucy-themed coffin that I made. And I had a shop in Jamestown, New York, where I would charge the tourists who have 2 festivals a year dedicated to Lucille Ball. If they came to the shop, they could pay $1 and take a picture with the body. And I would always tell them, if this resembles anyone living or dead, it's purely coincidental. But that's the Lucy skull. Now, let me show you the prizes of the collection of crazy human stuff. Oh, another coffin. This was an Oddfellows coffin. In here, there are slices of human brain. A foot. The interesting thing about this foot is around the ankle, there's a ligature mark. It must have been on when the person was alive and preserved right along with that foot. Here's a skinned human hand that was presumed with the skin inside there, that was presumably, as you can see, there's a little bit of fingernail polish still on there, as well as toenail polish on there. So it's presumably of the same woman. And it came from somewhere in California. An individual with the name of Brent traded it to me for human blood Ouija boards. And these are prints done in human blood, my blood, made with that hand and foot I just showed you. Then on the back of these mounted ones, there are pictures of when they were made. In here is a human fetus in a jar, over 100 years old. This particular fetus was tattooed on the back of my leg. There's a piece of Tiamat the Dragon Lady, or Eva Medusa, depending on how you know the person, chunks of their ear. This is a fake fetus in a jar. It's a gaff. These are fetuses in jars that are gaffs, but they were used in the movie, the remake with Nicolas Cage of The Wicker Man. Here's a particularly great specimen of a fetus, almost full term. But the prize, and then there's another fetus over here in a jar. The prize, however, is Frog Girl. She was circulated amongst the sideshows, is about 100 years old as well. She has her own case. And she is a fetus with anencephaly, which basically they're born with no brain. They have bulging eyes. She was circulated amongst the sideshows. As a matter of fact, this book down here, Shocked and Amazed, features a picture of her. And she was known as Frog Girl. And of course, Frog Girl, she has her own toys. A little baby doll that looks just like her. And a pony fetus in a jar, because every little girl wants a pony. So Frog Girl has her very own pony. And this is Frog Girl's sideshow banner, which of course comes with her when she was on display in the sideshow. So those are some of the interesting items in the museum on display. Oh, and here, not only am I the owner of the museum, I'm also a display. A chunk of my flesh from my toe when it was amputated last year. USDA Grade A Almighty Meat.